Welcome everybody, Johnny Saville from Acorn Wealth here, and here's your executive summary for the 3rd of July as we go into the July 4th long weekend. Pretty important day today. What happened at the beginning of this month is we set what's called the open range. Now this is the range for trading on July 1st, the first calendar day of the month, where we set a range of a low of 1962.29 on the S&P and a high of 1978.58. The critical test here as we formed this rising wedge on the S&P 500 was, would we break higher than that range or not? Typically speaking, if we break higher than that range, this signals a heavy bias to the long side of the market for the next 3 weeks of July. So, we consolidated into Wednesday, July 2nd, but today we broke through. Now this, for the bulls, is a very good sign, albeit it's on weak volume, so that is the warning, and that's to be expected during this week, but we broke through nevertheless. So for the bulls, right now we are in bull territory. As long as we hold that support at the 1978 ideally, and to the low side 1962 is the ultimate support for the bull rally for the month of July. So what we now need to ask is, are we at resistance or are we at support? Well, right now we are now at support. We've broken this trend line. We're now sitting on top of the daily high for the open range, meaning we're going to be looking for momentum-based trades. You can also see the moving averages are following up nicely behind the stock. So what I did was scan for stocks that are in that momentum-based pattern that are starting to begin enjoy the beginning of their rally. The first stock that we looked at, CLF. Now, this one has got its main problem that it needs to overcome is its overhead resistance here from this moving average. You can see it's been a problem with it before. It's starting to move up. So this is a bit of a watch. It's got a bit of a run here from 1642 up to the area at 1748, and that's where it's going to have its first test of resistance. But this is in a strong uptrend. It's actually had good insider buying recently from institutions. And if you go to have a look at the money flow, you can see that's starting to climb. This one's still this is still kind of the counter trend or contrarian in me that's looking at this, but you can see we've got these nice higher lows and we're starting to push. So I'd expect 16 to offer the strong support here, but its big challenge is to overcome the next moving average, and from there, if it can do that, I'd expect it to be able to climb at least up to the $20 mark. Next was DKS. Now DKS also kind of coming into that same kind of continuation rally zone. Now, this actually had insider buying on the 3rd of June. The analyst recommended valued price is $51, which you can actually see, incidentally, is right where we have that gap down resistance. So this stock has formed this ascending triangle. You can see the first test here, second test here, third test, rising bottoms, and then the break. It's rallied, was able to peek through the moving average here, pull back, and able to find support in today's trading. So once again, we've got kind of some support coming in around that 45.80 mark, but a potential upside of a rally up into just under that $51 mark, which is about almost a 10% potential return on DKS. Money flow's been climbing sharply, and you can see it just breached through zero. We want to see that continue through zero. This could be also a potential long on a momentum side. For the punters out there, Higher One Holdings is a stock that's been under a lot of pressure, and it's been forming this very, very strong, elongated base. And again, the problem for this is also going to be its moving average, because this could take a little while to pan out, but one I definitely have on my watch list. But in the meantime, there does seem to be that room for movement, but if it is able to break the 407 resistance set on July 1st, it could bring it up to test the resistance at 442. But that's at least a 7-8% pop before it's going to run into problems. So for the punters and scalpers, there could be a 7% rally here on Higher One Holdings. You can see the money flow had a bit of a pullback, but if you look at some of the other things like the directional movement, you can see there's been a strong cross of the DMI and negative DMI, and the ADX has just started to level out, indicating a possible turn to the upside, giving movement or fueling the movement to the buyer sentiment. BBCN shares a similar story. BBCN's kind of, again, a short-term, one of those short-term scalp type of trades. If we go back and have a look at the longer-term chart, you'll see that we've got a head and shoulder starting to form up. And if we copy and drag this shoulder line, you'll see that it connects nicely with the bottom. So what this would indicate is that there's about another dollar left here. You can see in the short term we've got a consolidation channel, which we're just breaking out of today. We've got the 50% Fibonacci here at 1654, and the 77% Fibonacci and the head and shoulder resistance joining at the same point at 1750. So for the scalpers out there, we're just above that resistance zone, about to break the next, potentially. And you can see the directional movement indicating the bulls have it, and also a confirmation from the ADX crossing the negative DMI. So this also could be a dollar scalp on BBCN. And finally, to stick with the letter B, not by choice but just by coincidence, BGFV. Again, another kind of little $1 punt as we start to get this very, very positive momentum behind the stock. The ADX is turning up. The buyers definitely have it here. And you can see there's about $1 here before we run into that resistance. So again, that 7% number starting to come through on each of these types of stocks. Now, due to the light volume, I'd be happy to just scalp out a couple of trades like this. But they of course do have potential to run further. The next target in sight that BGFV would hold would be looking at that next moving average and the gap down resistance of filling the gap up to 15. So hopefully these help to fill your basket of goodies coming back from your long weekend on Monday. I will certainly be watching these, and stay tuned for the next executive summary. Happy trading.